Hi friends, this is Aylin Aydin, your astrologer and tarot reader, and this is your seasonal tarot reading for the spring of 2021. In this seasonal tarot reading, there's a couple of things that we're going to be going over. So I'm going to outline every single one of those things that we're going to be going over before we get started. So this reading covers everything you need to know for the spring season of 2021. The first thing that we're going to start out with, though, is a collective message reading with all of the elements. And as we go through the elements and through the cards that I have pulled for the elements, I will be explaining what it all means. The second thing that we're going to go over is the tarot reading for your personal sign that covers each of the lunar phases during this season. The first phase that we're going to be focusing on is the new cycle beginning with the new moon in Aries. The second phase we'll focus on is the new cycle beginning with the new moon in Taurus. And then the third phase that we're going to be focusing on is the new cycle that begins with the new moon in Gemini. Let's get started with the collective message. Now, the collective message is going to consist of 5 elements that we're going to cover for this entire season. It is going to be fire, water, earth, air, and space. And as we cover these, I'm going to give more examples of what the elements stand for. Now, majority of us already know or have a relationship to these elements that I'm going to be going over. But if you're drawn to certain elements, make sure you come back and listen to them again. Or you could also just put together a bigger kind of message for yourself through your sun, moon, or rising sign. Now, the very first thing that I'm going to be covering is the element of fire. Fire stands for the self, for our body, for the way in which we use our strength, mind, body, spirit all together to put things into action. It's also an element that stands for action. And the collective message here, the 2 tarot cards that fell out, was the 4 of Swords and the 8 of Pentacles reversed. So what we can expect during this spring season is that we're going to feel a little bit restless. We're also going to feel restless because we're trying to figure out and narrow down what it is that we should be focusing on. And I think that that is the reason why this was reversed, because a lot of our focus during this spring season is going to be on everything that we're trying to accomplish, or we're trying to ignite a new path. So there is sort of this moment here where a lot of our actions will be sort of coming with a lot of intensity. And I think that it's also going to be focusing a lot on just giving ourselves an opportunity to begin again and to move forward again. Now, with the fire element, there is also an oracle card that I have felt drawn to pull for this spring season, and that is the dolphin. And it says, embrace your inner child. And I really feel that what this message is all about is that we are to look at the things that we truly, truly love. Now let's move on to the water element. The water element, there's a bunch of cards that fell out here. So we're going to go through it one by one. The water element is our emotions, but really what is being reflected in our day-to-day. What kind of emotional currency are we going to be moving through all throughout this season? I think that when we are coming up to the full moon in the first lunar cycle, what we are discovering is that there is a strength that is returning within us. The Queen of Wands fell out. It's really just going to be about a strength, or we're going to discover a moment here. It's going to be an aha moment that, you know, gives us sort of an answer that we have been looking for, and it reignites our faith. That's what I'm seeing here with the Queen of Wands. The second card that fell out is the 7 of Wands reversed. I think that we're going to feel quite kind of tired by the time we get to that full moon. The reason for that is because, again, the energies are very intense during the beginning of this spring season with that new moon cycle in Aries. And there's just a lot that we're trying to accomplish in a short period of time. So it seems that's what the cards are showing us here. But even if even if we take a look at the astrological transits, that is what we're seeing as well. We're moving forward. The energy is moving us forward. And so what we are discovering during this time is that this is our opportunity to step into our destiny, our fate. There's a lot of fated events that might be unfolding in your life. And if this really speaks to you, this is going to be a moment where you have to sort of take a moment to gauge if this opportunity is worth pursuing, right? Because opportunities are going to be arising, but not every opportunity is going to bring us what we're looking for. And so here you must remind yourself of the past. Five of Cups. The Five of Cups is basically saying, are you repeating something from the past because you're trying to, get a particular emotion back into your life? But does it have to come through this one thing? Does it have to be through this one person? Does it have to be through this one company, this one, job, this one path that you thought all of your life would be the only way that you would feel accomplished? The Five of Cups here is saying, is this really what it is that you're trying to accomplish, or are you repeating the past? Make sure you're listening to your heart. Make sure you're listening to the clues, right? Like take a moment to gather all the information and then see emotionally what feels right. Because, your own inner heart wisdom knows the answers. And I think that's what the Five of Cups is saying here. You must take the past into consideration. Now, the spiritual guidance card is Sandbar. Okay, it says discovery of new pathways and opportunities. Yes, absolutely. There is going to be new pathways and opportunities. But again, we must actually look for those opportunities as well during the season. So a lot of it will come to us. But then if you feel that you're repeating the past, there is going to be another way. There is going to be another way. And you must stay open in order to see it. And that's what I'm seeing here. So emotionally, what are we taking a look at? We're taking a look at, focusing on being hopeful and focusing on being curious, focusing on love. Do we love it? Yes, no. That is how we're gauging all throughout this spring season. For the earth element, the one tarot card that fell out here is the Two of Wands. This is so interesting because I really feel that we are going to be looking at how to put value back into our life through the lens of where we belong emotionally. Where do we belong in the world emotionally? What is it we desire? Who are the people that need to be in our lives or that we envision that are in our lives, right? So these are the things that we're going to be looking at. I also feel like a lot of us will be finding new sets of values because our values have changed. So that is another really big thing, I think, with the Two of Wands. It's a very simple message for the earth element. Now, for the spiritual advice, we have Poseidon. Emotions are intense. Be cautious of how you treat others. So I really do feel that because we're going to be in a very passionate season, I think that what a lot of us can expect is that we're going to be clearing a lot of misunderstandings in our relationship dynamics. That's number one. I also think that we're going to be clearing the way for us to know now where we emotionally belong in the future. I think that that is going to be a very big role based on our values. We're to ground ourselves in this area emotionally and to look for genuine connection. I think that is going to be another really, really big part here. Now, the other thing that I'm seeing with this Poseidon card is that there is sort of this moment where we could be creating a storm in our lives, which is what Poseidon really represented anyway in Greek mythology. He was feared for being the person that created storms. And so I think that what we are to watch out for is how we're communicating our values to other people, because during this time, we could be emotionally very sharp. And what we're saying could really hurt another person. And so I think that we have to be mindful of how we are communicating what it is that we feel on the inside out there. There is also going to be new information that is going to come up that will help everyone to connect the dots. There is more information that's coming up for the collective, for out into the open, for people to see, that will allow for us to connect the dots. This will have to do with science. This will have to do with scientific research. This will also have to do with anything that needs more scientific research. And so I think that during this time, we're going to feel very passionate. For the air element, our intellect, the way in which we are going to be thinking, the way in which we might communicate, or the way in which we get inspired, we have the 9 of Wands. I think that what we're realizing is that there are certain things in our lifestyle that we are now seeing in the collective way that is just not worth defending anymore, or is worth defending. So we're going to have both sides here. I also am seeing with the spiritual advice card, Bird of Paradise, embark on a new adventure. Yes, there are going to be new ways in which we're wanting to dissolve past boundaries so that we can live our life in a different kind of a way. So there could be moments where you might just sort of decide that you want to do something very different because the opportunity presents itself. And I think that the way that you want to do this something different is going to come through is by you getting sort of a piece of communication that empowers you. I think we can really count on that, especially during May when we get into that new moon cycle, or that entire phase with the new moon beginning in Taurus. I think what's going to happen is that we're going to be in this place where we're going to want to reach further beyond what we used to do in our day-to-day. And now that opportunity is there. Now we're wanting to grab that opportunity and we want to go with it. I also think that there is going to be a lot of people that will start to share what has happened to them in the last year and a half, who they've become, who they've seen, what has happened, to them, and what exactly the shifts are that are happening within them. For the last element, which is space. Space basically representing what are we to hold space for in our lives during this particular season. The one card, tarot card that fell out is the Page of Wands. And that is interesting. The Page of Wands is like a new learning curve about ourselves. So we're going to continue to learn more about who we're becoming. We're also going to be continuing to learn about how to trust the actions that we're taking. I think that there is this moment where we are to trust, especially right before the eclipse, we are to trust that what is happening and what is unfolding in our lives is exactly what is meant to be. Because some things are fate, and then some things will also mix with fate and our free will, obviously. But here, the Page of Wands basically says, look, you have to trust the feeling that you have. You have to trust the value that you have in your life. And it is leading you, it is guiding you somewhere. And it might be a new intimate connection that you have with people, with your career, with certain values in your life, and you are to trust it. And the spiritual message cards, there's 3 of them that came out. The first one is anchor. Be hopeful, choose optimism. I think that there can be some cynicism that could come up, right? If the card were to be reversed, if we don't take the opportunity, even though the energies are very good and the energies will be guiding us into a new perspective that we can anchor into, that we can have faith and hope over, that we can have optimism over. So as the collective, we are learning how to trust the actions that are being taken. And then there's also going to be moments where we're going to see who we cannot trust. Because it always goes both ways, right? It's not just one way, like everything is rainbows and lollipops, it is going to go both ways. And so I think that there is going to be moments where we will actually see that we cannot trust this one person, or we've trusted the wrong kind of, situation. And so that is going to come up as well. And the second spiritual message for trust and holding, new kinds of trust in our life is the fish. And again, the foundation for it is going to be, what are we trusting? Who are we trusting? And first and foremost, are we trusting ourselves so that the balance can come in? The third spiritual message is the starfish. Trust your instincts. So what's interesting about the starfish is that the starfish is a very complex creature. It actually doesn't have a brain. It has a very complex nervous system. The starfish also speaks about the fact that when we take a look at the starfish and the life of the starfish in and of itself, it relies on its environment for survival. So these types of themes are going to be coming up. The space that we're coming into, especially when we get into the Gemini season, there is going to be moments where we're going to realize that there are certain dependencies that we have in our environment that are being betrayed. And because they're being betrayed, we are now to trust a new path. We're now to trust something else. And where is that something else going to come from? You know, this is what we're looking at with the starfish, right? There is a betrayal of some sort that is going on to the values that we used to hold, or we thought we were putting all of our trust into this one thing in our environment, whether that's the food industry, whether that is some kind of, area of our life specific to where we live in our environment, that now we see is actually not what it is. And I think that with the starfish, it is hope. The message is hope that we can overcome betrayal. And the way that we can do that is by bringing the communication, or bringing basically an appreciation back to respecting ourselves and nature, respecting our environment, respecting the very thing that has been, where the boundary has been crossed. I think that's what we're seeing with the starfish here. It's really, really interesting. So between these three, anchoring down, finding the balance, and the starfish, there is something big that is going to start to come up in Gemini season, new forms of communication in your particular environment that will impact or have an impact that is not so favorable. And it has to do with some kind of betrayal, or some kind of, where the boundaries are being crossed for money, where there is sort of actions being taken without the consideration of the greater good. Something like this is going to be coming up during Gemini season. And I think that what we are being asked here is to hold space for that to happen, because sometimes we just don't know that certain things are going on in the background. So this is something that is going on in the background that is going to come up to the surface. And I think that what we are to do is actually hold space for that, because we are to help each other during this season to really come back to our center, a center to respect who we are, and a center to respect what is happening in our lives. Because when things go in the wrong direction, we need a moment to actually see why they went into the wrong direction. So I think that the starfish is communicating that through this card right here. So that's what I'm seeing here for the space element. Now, before we dive into your sign, I do want to quickly mention that I do offer readings in person, and I also do video recordings that I do send to you with a private link. And if you would like to book any of my readings, that information is in the description box below. Right now, I do have a tarot reading, which is a video recording that I do for you personally, that is on sale, 30% off. So if you're interested in working with me a little bit closer, then you can book that reading. And everything that you need to know, again, is either at upriseastrology.com or in the description box below. So now let's take a look at your personal zodiac sign. You can listen to your sun, moon, or rising, or you can listen to all three if you know it, to kind of get a bigger reading and to know what is going to be coming up over the next 3 months. Welcome, Sagittarius. This is your first phase reading. It's going to be for the phase that starts with the new moon in Aries, and it will go well into the first 10 days of May. Now we're going to be taking a look at your cards here, and we are starting out with the High Priestess. The image that I'm getting is that like someone sitting on a bench somewhere outside waiting, almost like in a meditative state. And I feel like a lot of you have been sort of waiting to free yourself from the current situation that you're in, but it's more of a feeling first and foremost than it is actually on the external. There is an external portion that you're going to move into where you're moving the pieces and you're starting to take, chances, risks moving forward. And there's 3 different ways I see for a lot of you that this is going to be unfolding right after the full moon in Scorpio. So up until then, that High Priestess energy is still kind of working a lot on the internal parts of you. So the 3 things that I'm seeing is that some of you are in a
destination right now, or in a house or an apartment right now, you really want to get out of there. You don't want to be there anymore. And you're looking to act on where to go, what to do, how to go about it. Now, some of you will be in a situation, I see, that you are going to be like with a weird either roommate situation or someone that is living with you or some neighbor that is being weird. I see that it has to do with your home or the day-to-day responsibilities. And then I also see that there is sort of this like desire to just change like living situations. It doesn't have to be, moving somewhere far, but you're wanting to change the living situations or something in regards to your home because there's something really uncomfortable, or it reminds you of a past experience, very specific. It's really interesting what's coming through because you guys are really in a more explorative kind of place. Or you're trying to add something to your home, to kind of make it a bit more, I don't know, you're trying to manifest something in regards to home, or you're trying to manifest sort of a particular energy. So that could be another option. So it's a general reading, so I am going to try to narrow it down as much as possible. But a wish and a new focus is going to come out of it. And you're going to be acting on inspiration, and we see it here because we have the Page of Wands and the Three of Wands. The Page of Wands has to do with releasing a lot of emotional blocks. The Three of Wands is you saying, okay, well, I got to break away from the situation that I'm in right now, or the relationships that are not allowing for me to go with the flow, or, not feel like supported, or not feel like that I'm in sort of the synchronicity with the world. I want to see more. I want to do more. There is a more that comes up here with the Three of Wands, and it's not easy, but it's totally worth it. And I do see that there is sort of a new action that you're going to be taking that has a lot to do with improving or attracting a lot of opportunities for yourself. But the opportunities that come with it, they definitely have a lot to do with you setting and putting down proper boundaries, protecting it. And it is completely correlated to the full moon in Scorpio, because you're going to, whatever you need to grasp or hear within yourself, the High Priestess, you are going to be hearing, seeing it, feeling it. That aha moment is going to come through right around probably about 48 hours into that full moon in Scorpio. The World card is very much correlated to a particular goal you used to have that you thought you were like, really, you wanted to do this. Maybe you wanted to even set up something from your home that you wanted to do for work. Or it could also be correlated, so that's one thing I'm seeing, or it could be correlated to a relationship that you have, or someone that is living with you, or someone that comes to visit, or you're taking care of this person that it just doesn't fit anymore. Like, you can't do this anymore because something about it is not allowing for you to move on. So you've been maybe in this situation for a while. You've been observing for a while. You've been seeing for a while what has been happening. And you are sort of seeing and learning that a lot of where Saturn now is in your chart is asking you to basically pay attention to how you're talking to yourself. Because of what's being mirrored back to you, that High Priestess is taking a look at a lot of situations. And some of it has to do with your passions, some of it has to do with your career, and some of it has to do with some relationships that are family-related relationships that are very close to you. And so I see that that is sort of the first kind of a thing that you are taking a look at. And even how those relationships impact the way in which you're thinking. Or small groups of people that you might be working with where communication is going back and forth. And so a lot of what is happening here, you're putting a lot of effort in to understand what goes into self-talk and what goes into your mindset, what goes into the way in which you are seeing your environment, the way in which you're seeing everything that you're doing, right? And what, as a result, happens there. How much you feel maybe that you are in a place that in order for you to make it happen, you're going to have to, work a little bit harder on your mindset right now, which is really interesting because obviously with the North Node in Gemini, you've been working on this for quite some time. So this year, I think, is going to be the toughest. The moment that the nodes are changing for you, you're going to have, it's going to ease off a bit more. And Saturn will become a little bit more of a, mastery at that point. But right now, it is for you to see where you're still trying to gain more confidence when it comes to how you talk to yourself, how you communicate with other people, and what you're doing from the day to day. That is a huge focus all year long for you, Sagittarius. So then we have the Nine of Cups reversed, and I think that this has to do with emotional boundaries in regards to money. You are seeing now that you have to sort of create certain things for yourself to not rely on other people. This is going to be very, very important here as well. And it's followed with the Five of Wands. So you are taking a look at perhaps right now you have this fear or this, almost like this karma completion with someone where you realize that this relationship has to come to an end. You are no longer going to be investing your efforts into this relationship because you are seeing that this person is living sort of in a place where they're not allowing for themselves to live truthful. And something about that, just makes you realize that you don't want to be around that. So the Five of Wands is really interesting because underneath that Five of Wands, I feel like the vibe is that, but then the Five of Wands is where at the end of this cycle, like right before you get into the new moon in Taurus, you're done. You're ready to move on. You're going to start to put all of the efforts in order to live from your very own integrity, live from your very own, fierce truth, which has a lot to do with things that you're also trying to protect that you cherish, because you feel that a lot of what is happening right now is you're seeing whose communication you cannot trust. It's not so much about noticing who you can't trust, but it's in the words. Something about the words are becoming very evident this month as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to clarify every single one of these cards. So we're going to shuffle the cards and we're going to lay the cards on top of each of these and just get more information. So let's go back to the High Priestess. There's an illumination of your lifestyle and the value of the lifestyle that you're living. And out of it comes sort of a wish to act on something that inspires you. We have the Nine of Hearts. And so you've been waiting. A lot of you have been sort of waiting on the right opportunity. But this one comes out of nowhere, and it might be completely unrelated to what you thought you were going to be doing. So that's one thing as well. But it's sort of that your imagination is going to be going this month. There's a lot of imagination. There's a lot of vision. There's a lot of sort of, thinking or imagining sort of things or daydreaming that are not really related to what you're trying to do, but they inspire you to take action in a new direction, which is surprising. Page of Wands. It is surprising because the moment that you start to put a little bit of research into this area of your life, you're going to start to see that right now you have a moment to release emotional blocks, to step into a more blissful state so that you can from here examine the next step. I see that you're sitting down the first couple of days in May. You're sitting down and you're investigating something. Six of Clubs. You're like investigating an idea. You're researching about a particular idea. You're wanting to kind of create a new path, a new direction in your life. And it has directly to do with something you're going to be good at once you get into it. So it's just the starting phase. It's really interesting. It's the starting phase. There's a couple other things attached to it. You're going to go talk to another person or you're going to meet with another person. And when you meet with them, they're going to let you know that you have the skills to do it. It's almost like you're investigating whether you have the skills to do it. And of course, immediately after, you are going to have someone who is maybe going to try to tell you or just sort of let you know that you don't. And there is sort of this trap, or there's this feeling behind this person or this communication that you may not have the skill sets, that you have to like start as a beginner, and it's just not the truth. It's not the truth. And this is where you are going to make a decision. Right around this time, you're making a decision to protect what it is that you know, what it is that you have as a value, as a confidence in your particular skill sets. So then you come back out of that situation and you're examining the Nine of Cups reversed. And the Nine of Cups reversed is basically just letting you know, well, there were things that you wanted to do that you thought were going to kind of create the kind of lifestyle you're trying to create right now, but it's actually not that. It is a completely different path. And so here you are sort of releasing the idea that it has to be a particular way. And I think that this Nine of Cups reverse is basically saying, keep your heart open. Keep your heart open. Don't try to put all of your wishes and hopes only into one direction, because nothing this year is actually going to be just like in this fixed energy, which is what this interaction with this other person is going to be all about. This other person is sort of like, they're in this place where the feeling I'm getting behind it is too sarcastic, too much of this, you can only go so far, you can only do so much, you're like, you have to contain your energy. Something about this is going to surface for you, because that is not where your energy belongs. It's just not where you're at. It's not something that you are to follow. You're to follow your own heart. And it could have to do with someone who just didn't get to follow their own heart either, but there's an interaction like that I'm seeing that you're going to be having with someone who is just a lot more, you're realizing that they're a lot more pessimistic than you actually were able to see before. And that is huge, because that is going to give you sort of a freedom back to examine a new direction for yourself. It's quick. It's nothing long lasting. It's like you make this epiphany, you start to move forward in a new direction. But then from here, you are to trust now a new emotion that is arising that also needs fierce protection. So being compassionate towards yourself with this interaction is something that is going to be really, really important to navigate here. With that World card, it is going to be important to navigate all throughout the month, because what you're ending is an emotional reliance on someone else. What you're also ending is perhaps the idea that you had to rely on your money or your value or something like that on someone else as well. There was maybe somebody else that was maybe kind of guiding you or trying to guide you, or a past relationship that you realize that you're finishing up this particular, era of your life. You're finishing it up. You are moving on into a new direction, but it's just now the beginning stages through your awareness, which is what the High Priestess is really talking about. Then right after, you get this opportunity here to realize that, some of the relationships in your life are reflecting people who have not been living their truthful version. Who is that in your life? And when you take a look at it from a moment of solitude, when no one is around, can you see that that is perhaps an influence that was in your life? And living with your own integrity will actually allow for you to let go of the things that, really just hold you back. The Seven of Diamonds here with the Five of Wands combo, this is going to be some effort to clean up some past financial, maybe even debt, honestly. There could be something like this that is going to come up. There could also be just an emotional sort of value revision that you're going to go into as soon as you get into that, first couple of 10 days in May. You're going to really take a look at how you view money, like what you do with money, how you view money. So a lot of really just emotions are going to come up in regards to that. So again, I say this in all my readings, that Five of Wands card, every time it falls out, I always tell everybody, you know, this is a time for you to go sweat, to kind of gain more clarity. Just because like that Five of Wands it's a hot card. Like you need effort here. Could also be that you're moving, you know, some of you will just draw the line after the full moon and you're moving. So you're moving boxes or something, or you're throwing things out or something like that, or you're helping someone else move. So I'm seeing that image here as well. It's a really interesting reading because I feel like this Aries energy, it's slowing you down in that you are paying more attention to what's going on internally, but then it speeds something else up, a very particular path moving forward. And so a wish or a new focus is going to come out of it. So that's what I'm seeing here. This is going to be a divine intervention type of, phase for you, that you're able to see that you are now in a place where you're able to kind of let go more of emotional blocks, that you are narrowing down. You're narrowing down what it is. Okay. So for right now, I feel like that's the best way to utilize this energy, to understand where you're stuck and to, undo those threads and undo those just areas of your life that are not like they pin you down. And why is it? Why is it? Because it's not allowing for you to like live out of your heart in such a way that you just don't have to worry about, money, or you don't have to worry about like something consequential. Like I feel like you have been in this place where you've been holding yourself because of that fear. Okay, so there's that. And what we're going to do now is we're going to put spiritual cards down from another deck to kind of see what else we need to see here. So for each of the rows and then for the last card, okay? So again, like I had mentioned before, I feel like it starts out a little slow, but this is because you are to realize where the non-attachment is happening. There's a non-attaching that is sort of ending, okay? An attachment that's ending and a non-attachment that is beginning. That snail moves slow. However, it does still move. And what happens is you're able to see where the balance has been thrown off in your life and why it's been thrown off. And then you bring the scales back. You bring it back. Why? Because you are taking a look at releasing things that you're not very grateful for right now. Because maybe you don't see what the emotional block it has created, but you are going to see it. I do predict that really here, anything after May 5th, you are in a place of releasing, because you're having conversations that are going to change the way in which you feel. Like it's going to be pretty good. And so what happens after that, we have the wreath. And the wreath is a bond that you are creating in a new direction, emotionally though, right? So you're creating a bond in a new direction. It has a lot to do with your own very personal boundaries, which is, again, right after that, full moon in Scorpio. Scorpio is all about boundaries. And so for you, these boundaries have to do with allowing for yourself to take a risk, allowing for yourself to now have faith in the perfect timing, because there is going to be an opportunity that's going to come through right towards the end, actually, of this moon cycle. And you are to trust your intuition here. You are to trust that you have proper and better boundaries, that you will not be backtracking or allowing for certain things to come into your space that don't belong there. So try to release sort of a pain or a fear in regards to that, and step more into loving yourself, being compassionate to yourself. These are the types of things that are going to allow for you to move forward with more ease. That's another thing that I'm seeing. And then we have, that Five of Wands with the Seven of Diamonds. Well, we have the Ram. That is the gift of this month, is for you to see what fears are coming up, what efforts you are going to be making that will pay off. Like there is a clear path ahead. It's calling you to go onto this path. Let's take a look at your spiritual messages here. Okay, so there is a bunch of them that fell out, which was amazing. So the first spiritual message is taking risks. This month is asking you to take risks and to be bold, because what's on the other side is absolutely more pleasure. It is sort of a more pleasure, it's divine intervention. It's now and not any other time, because what you are taking a risk on is also allowing for you to go forward. It is allowing for you to be more free. You've been waiting for this emotion right over here, and you are in a place where you can really embrace that this month. And because then you come so close to that feeling of being more free, going with the flow, allowing for yourself to be supported through new ways, like new environments, new situations. You're going to be meeting a couple of new people as well that will prove to be, some really amazing people moving forward in your life. You are going to be releasing a lot of the old sort of ties that just really, they pissed you off. That's another thing that I'm seeing here. So a really, really interesting, I do want to pull one more card. Yep. You're laying down new roots. You're wanting to lay down new roots in a new direction. And that's what this is about. So this month, my biggest message to you is do not give up, take the risk, trust yourself. Let's move on to the next one. Phase, the new moon in Taurus, is going to make a lot of you be very thoughtful in regards to your heart space, in regards to others as well, because there was sort of an expectation, or there is an expectation by others. It could be coworkers, it could be people who are sort of aligned, kind of doing the same thing as you are, that are expecting a lot of you at this time, or they're having sort of certain expectations. It could be in the present moment, or you are going to be examining this portion of your life from the past. And there is also a new either paperwork or agreement that is attached to this. So many of you could be simultaneously working on two different things. One, you have a new sort of business you're starting, or a new thing that you're getting into where others are expecting a lot of you, or there's some kind of new position that you have at work where there's an agreement and people have just sort of, they're looking at you because you're maybe the only one that can get certain things done, or they look at you as someone who is the only one that would know the answer. And another thing that I'm seeing is also, if you're not in a career position, for a lot of you Sagittariuses, it will have directly to do with a past relationship where there is sort of shared resources, or you could have been married to this person, or there could have been like an agreement between you and the other person. And there was like legal paperwork I'm seeing that you guys are finalizing, or there is sort of a finalizing of that paperwork that is going to come into the picture. So there is a couple of days right around the first quarter moon where you will be experiencing perhaps a couple of days of this, like you don't know what to do. There's sort of a moment where you feel very agitated with this other person in regards to the demands or the expectations that they have of you. And it just sort of makes you really rethink what it is that you kind of not pay attention to within your own sort of spirit. And why am I saying that? Because you are in a place where you're going to be embracing new challenges in your life, and they will have directly to do with your authenticity, with you living your most truest version, which is an area that you're going into. And so now what is happening is that the relationships around you are showing you the sort of mirrors, like the stuff that you need to see, where perhaps in the past you would sacrifice certain parts of you, not pay attention to certain aspects of the like spiritual realm, you and your connection, like your own spirituality. So a lot of it you're going to start to dive into and start to explore during this time, during this month. And I feel that in that moment, an unexpected situation has a turning point with the paperwork, with either the situation where you didn't know the answers, or you've been waiting sort of to know whether you have conquered this challenge or not, but it's going to be good news because we have the Queen of Pentacles that follows right after. And because it is going to be good news, this is going to allow for you to dive even deeper into that Hierophant card. And this Hierophant card, it is, again, it has to do with your spirituality. It has to do with you developing new interests in science and technology even. It will also have to do a lot with you just, attracting anything new into your life after this point and doing things that are exciting, doing things where you can, just dive into techniques in your work. Or I'm seeing that a lot of you will be diving into personal development as a result as well. Again, this has to do with career, but it's bigger than that. It also has to do with the way in which I think you just realize that, there are sudden events sort of in your life that are showing you that it's time to change now. There's a lot of changes that are happening. And it's the result of all of your past efforts. Like you may have been in this place where you have been working a lot on just techniques of trying to get yourself be more, diving into your unconscious mind or diving more into the unconscious realms to kind of discover more about yourself, getting to know yourself at a deeper level. And so something like this is going to come up to the surface for a lot of you. I also feel like that you are going to be in this place where I feel that you're going to find that certain aspects of your life are not going to be as difficult to deal with anymore. They used to be super difficult in the past, but they're not difficult anymore. So whatever paperwork you're waiting on, whatever resolution you're waiting on that are directly tied to relationship dynamics or career, you will get a good answer this month. You will see that you're going to end up with exactly what you need. You're going to end up with exactly what you need. And as a result of it, it frees up something in your lifestyle, in your day-to-day time. Timing plays a big role. You will not be working so hard anymore and sacrificing much of your time and your energy in your day towards protecting what it is that you're doing. It's really interesting, like there is sort of this protection energy that carries on through from this last cycle into this cycle. And I feel like that, anything that you have sort of kept away from other people, anything that, that you have maybe sort of kept from them seeing it, you wanted to sort of give yourself a time to deal with it so that you could emerge out of this situation with much more clarity. But there was also money tied into it. This has to do with money as well. And I think that it may have to do with sort of people maybe attached to in the past that you didn't maybe want to face parts of that anymore, or you didn't want to maybe look at like losses. It has to do with a loss with someone in the past as well. There's so much here that ties into the Hierophant card that has to do with the past. It has to do with the unconscious. It has to do with you working deeper with yourself, but it has to do with the correlation of relationships that now have an impact, and also relationships that are from the past that still have an impact until now. And so this is very much a time where you are going to realize that you're becoming a lot like friendlier with yourself, the way in which you treat yourself, the way in which you are going to allow for yourself to, take the time and the space to be better with yourself. This is another thing that I'm seeing, is because whatever this situation was, it's ending now for good, because you have decided to also draw the line, and you have also decided and put the intention out there that you would treat yourself better as a result of it. So it's going to be really important to keep your heart open during the time when it feels like it's still not kind of moving forward the way that you want to. That is going to be really, really important, okay? Now, what I'm going to do is we're going to be clarifying each and every one of these cards again, because we want a little bit more info. So the Hierophant card has to do with the truth, your truth. And it also has to do with you letting go of doubting, And what does the doubt have to do with? The doubt has a lot to do with whether, you'd be listened to, whether you would be just accepted and having courage to kind of just go out there and just share, because things have been so upside down. And perhaps whoever was opposing you and is still opposing you or making demands of you, this person, they feel that you, something like of betrayal comes up, or a heartache, or like they feel like you broke their heart. And what do we do in those kinds of situations? You know, we have to move forward. We have to move forward. Sometimes we cannot change someone in the way that they feel, the way that they view us. And you, most importantly here, you're just wanting to move on with your life. That's what this has to do with. If you're not in a relationship like that, this has to do just in general with the time that we're in right now. You just want to move forward. You just feel like maybe you have put your time and effort into places in your life simply that do not allow for you to embrace who you are. Okay? Could have been with groups of people, but a lot of it, I really do feel for a lot of you Sagittarius, is a general reading, right? It's hard to pin down everything like to the point, but what I see that for a lot of you, this has to do with a relationship that still plays a role in your life today. That's what I'm seeing. The Tower card, this is finally knowing how you're going to be moving forward. You're getting the answers. Emotionally, you are in this place where you're going to be able to protect what it is that you cherish. We have the Four of Pentacles right underneath it. The protection aspect was very important to you. Very important to you. The Queen of Pentacles, beautiful. While also this is going on, your hard work that you have put in when it came to your career, when it came to your daily lifestyle, when it came to, you really focusing on what makes you happy, and there definitely have been relationship dynamics that have played a role here as well. It is helping you to let go of these situations that were heartbreaking, that were hard to explain. Some of you, I feel like, also are living some kind of a public life. And so you feel that finally you're able to accept this situation. Finally, you're able to just say to yourself, I'm going to accept the losses that came from this, but now it's time to move on because of the paperwork answer that is going to come through, or legal, work. Or it can also be that you just decide to kind of clear the air in regards to something, okay? And it's just going to come out in a formal written letter. So a couple of different ways. Now the World card came up again, same position as last month. How interesting, right? But how is the story unfolding this month? It has to do with you finally understanding that you need to break away from certain relationships again. Maybe you used to be with this person and you had impacts of your lifestyle and impacts of your things you're living out right now that are not creating a balance in your life. So you got to walk away from those things, and you have to just sort of accept where you're at right now. And that is the most important word right here, between the Justice reversed, the Six of Diamonds on top of it, the World, the Nine of Spades on top of it, like accepting. Accepting is going to be key. Wisdom comes through when you do. Accepting the way in which you feel, accepting that you feel like this is so hard to get through. It's not the easiest thing because your body is feeling all of it. We have the Nine of Diamonds again. Again, your skills and what it is that you do on a day-to-day, what it is that you're really, really good at is what's going to carry you forward. That is what you got going for you. It's your foundation at this time. And you're going to do exactly what you wanted to do, and you're going to get exactly what you needed. If you've been worrying about the outcome of a financial sort of response, maybe you've applied financially somewhere, like for some kind of a thing. You've been waiting to see if you would get the funds or if you would get the job. There's a good answer there. You're going to get exactly what it is that you need. And if you are not going to get the answer from that company, you're going to get it from another company or some other place that you're applying for. Okay, that's what I'm seeing as well. So it's very much career related. The Six of Hearts, On top of the Two of Pentacles reversed, the Two of Pentacles reversed has to do with what you do day to day. That was sort of like you had to work so hard to keep things going because there was so many disruptions. So the Six of Hearts says, finally, no more. You can now call, like, there's like either you are in your own space, you're in your own home, or you're going to be in a place where you finally can start to focus on your like health, like more of the emotional body though. Like it's the combo of those two, where you feel that you can finally just move on and give yourself that space, but you're out. Like that is the Two of Pentacles reverse is like you're out of this situation, you're out of this space, and you don't have to sacrifice so much of your time and energy anymore during your day towards what it is that you were doing. The Page of Wands here. You had to come up with very inventive ways, very creative ways to get this energy going, and now you can let it go. King of Hearts. Wow. I mean, I just, like, this reading has been the most interesting one out of all of the readings in this season. Whatever you guys currently are trying to resolve in your life, the energy supports it. That's something that I want to say. I just feel that now you can very much emotionally focus on rebuilding yourself again. That Hierophant card with the Queen of Hearts is a strong card. It's a strong card that says, you know, you realize so much about what you just accepted as far as the expectations go from other people of you. So you see the truth, the Moon card. So the truth here with the Moon card, and then we're moving on to the Bull. And the Bull has a lot to do with you. Anything that feels like still needs to be negotiated, here you can negotiate for what you're worth. You can. So you got to stand your ground though. It's really important. Like if you're negotiating, if you're going into a meeting, if you're going, like whatever you're doing with money in your career, whatever you're doing as far as like talking to someone whom you are trying to cut ties with, or whatever situation that you're dealing with right now during this phase, you have to stand your ground and you must speak what it is that you are wanting, you know, and what is happening actually for you. And here you start to create this feeling that you can be really just someone that you can rely on yourself. And there's other people that are going to step through as well. They're going to be helping you. You have sort of people who are, they're counting on you, or a small group of people who are trying to get something accomplished with you together. So there are some very important relationships here that help you to move on. And again, exactly what it is that you needed will be given here. So you come back to a place where you're able to move forward. We have the Ship. It's a beautiful, beautiful time for you. And it's a deeply sort of time of rebuilding yourself and bringing levels of respect back towards the areas where you feel, you know, people haven't been kind, or people haven't been in a place where they've allowed for you to just protect, or they've crossed the boundaries a lot. There's a lot of these kinds of themes we're still going. And also there is a level here, I feel like with the Moon card, another thing that I do want to say is you're sort of accepting something that is impermanent as a result of it. And that is giving you this deep sort of look into hidden sort of messages or hidden sort of blessings that you didn't realize before. So it's a deeply intuitive time. The lens that you're looking through. It's a time of change. It is a time of community. Absolutely. Like your people, if you've been doubting whether you have your people or who your people are, they're going to surface this month. And fulfillment. You're moving towards fulfillment a lot more, a lot faster. Even though last month it felt very slow, this month you're moving forward towards it even more. What a beautiful reading. I'm going to pull one more spiritual card, angel card. Ask for guidance if you don't know, especially during the times we just don't know how things are going to sort of, turn out. I'm telling you right now, they're going to turn out exactly the way that they need to be, because what you are not seeing right now is that it's going to be better than what you thought. You're going to be able to trust in letting go of the things that just feel like they're outlived. It's an outlived situation, and you're going to be able to trust yourself by keeping your heart open. And if you need guidance, you're going to have omens and signs this month, and they're going to come through when you are outside. When you're outside, you're going to see something, maybe in the leaves, maybe like a way that a tree is going to move. It could also be an animal, the way that the animal is going to move. Or like I see also like a piece of paper that's flying across, like the way it's going to move, it's going to catch your attention, and you're going to feel the other realms of assistance that are here, that have your back, which is what the angel wings are all about. Okay, so there is a deeply sort of connected and again intuitive time here for you to realize that it's time, now to move on up and to be closer to the people around you, your community, and to start, working towards things that you're really happy with in your life. And that's what I'm seeing here for this phase. All right, Sagittarius. So this is going to be the last reading for this season, the new moon in Gemini, the solar eclipse. And as you can see from your cards, there's going to be more moving pieces here. And so let's dive right into the Five of Wands. The Five of Wands is returning from the other phases that we read. That Five of Wands will have to do with you and other people. And it has to do with, just like trusting and holding down your worth. Trusting where you're at and holding down your worth is going to be the key all month long. The reason for that is because you're putting a lot of effort in that has to do with you bringing more loving situations into your life, you practicing a lot more self-care and self-respect towards your own body. And also the thing that I feel a lot of you need to hear is that you are enough. You are enough. Not like some conceptual thing, right? But as you take actions this month, this might be something that you want to write down somewhere and put up and remind yourself, because you're sort of going into the month where you have to sort of start to let go of things that you were regretting. And some of those things might come up, and the only reason they're going to come up is because you're going to measure up towards a new kind of love that you're bringing more of into your life. And this has to do with you and someone else. It also has to do with just towards yourself in general. So there is going to be someone here who is going to try to get you into a situation that you don't want to be in. You don't want to be in this situation. As much as this might be enticing at some level, you just don't want to go there. So this has to do with someone who is just kind of coming into the picture that you are actually trying to change. What do I mean by that? Well, sometimes, when people know that we're going through something or like a difficult time, there are certain people who come into that kind of a picture. They might not be even conscious of it, but they come into the picture because they know that there is sort of an opportunity. So you're dealing with someone here that is going to be an opportunist who is not an opportunist in the right ways. We see it. Why? Because the Seven of Swords is reversed, and it is in the position above, underneath the Two of Swords. The Two of Swords is above it. So there is going to be moments here where you really have to use your logic and your logic with your intuition together. And also, I think that you are in a place where you're going to get these subtle confirmations. How are you going to get these subtle confirmations of what you think is going on? Well, you're going to get it by really tuning in to how your heart feels. Is it that your mind is sort of in a place where you just feel like it gives you that moment of detachment, and that moment, like, it seems like, oh, it's a relief. But when in reality, if you think about the long term, which is what the new moon in Gemini is going to be bringing forth, the long term, but it's going to block the long term. Why? Because everyone is in this weird place right now where we got to push through onto the other side. Let's just say that. There's going to be stuff that is going to be happening 3 weeks into that new moon solar eclipse phase where you will have to really trust what is happening within you, because the bigger picture will not be clear until we get to Venus entering Leo. That is going to be June 27th. We're still dealing with the Mercury retrograde. You cannot trust what people are saying or what people are doing because they don't even know what they're doing. Majority of people are not going to know because so much is going to be changing during this time that the energies are going to be in a place where everyone's mind is pouring out on the table even more so than it has been before. What you are to work on and what you are to focus on is yourself, and to stay steady and to stay emotionally aligned with filling your own cup and walking away from situations that are not going to be lasting. Okay, this is going to be super duper key. So that's the opening statement right here for this reading. What I'm going to do is I am going to take these cards and I'm going to start clarifying each and every one, and we're going to talk about the actual card. I'm going to talk about what I think that is going to be coming up. Again, this is a general reading. I just want to say that in general readings, it is sometimes a little bit harder to kind of narrow things down. So we're talking about general themes. Again, if there's something that doesn't fit into your picture, just, move on to the next card, or just, disregard, because it's not always going to be 100% true for every Sagittarius, right? I always recommend that you listen to your moon and your rising sign as well, because sometimes that can kind of give you a lot more of the missing pieces with particular situations you might be dealing with. So the Five of Wands is a new trust towards yourself, okay? It is about holding down your boundaries. Why is that? Because you're practicing a new level of self-respect. In relationships that used to really manipulate and used to cross your line. What is that line? That line has a lot to do with what you know you're worth, and money was involved in it. So you are very much taking a look at the relationship with that. So a lot of effort is going to be put in behind the scenes by you to try to move things forward in a financial way, okay? You will not like it at some points just because there's a lot that needs to get done, but it is also a time where, you are going to be happy that you did it. You're going to be happy that you put the work in. You're going to be happy that you really moved on forward. This is going to be very important. And all of the things that you're doing during this phase are going to set you up for the next couple of phases to come in a way that is going to be good. Okay, so right now, stick to what brings you forward movement. Try not to go outside of that because the energies are not supportive of that during this particular phase. The Two of Swords. All right, we see the ravens that are kind of attached with strings around her head. She is in a blindfold, and here you have to take time out to kind of just work things through. So whether it is in journaling, whether it is in prayer, whether it is in just allowing for yourself to meditate, just to allow for yourself to do something that calms your body down and calms your mind down, because a lot of things are going to be said. A lot of stuff is going to be going on around you. This is obviously your opposite sign. But really what it's about is the opposites are, in astrology, we need the other opposite in order to understand ourselves better. So here in this Gemini season, what is the big picture to the small picture that you're going to? Well, it is about listening more to you, listening to your own heart. It is about being comfortable with where you're headed and being okay to be on that path right now, okay? Because some people will not be comfortable with the changes that you're making. And we're going to see that here with the Seven of Swords, right? Like we're seeing that the Seven of Swords is right underneath it. So it is really important to not right now just jump into situations that you're going to regret later. Someone is going to try to sell you a new sort of comfort zone through something manipulative, through something that is just not going to work out. You can't buy into it. It is sort of like a test from the past. Honestly, that's what it feels like. So the Six of Cups here says, when you stick, as soon as you get to the first quarter moon, when you stick to your emotional well-being and you stick to the things that nourish you, that allow for you to grow, that also allow for you to be a lot more full, like fulfilled and full, meaning like emotional experiences that leave you with joy, right? Emotional experiences that make you happy to the best of your ability. Those are the moments that will prove to you that you are on the right track, that you don't need anyone. You don't need anybody else's belief in your space. From this place, you know where you belong. From this place, you know what it is that you're aiming for, but it is in your relationships right now where you have to hold down the boundaries. You have to like really just be more disciplined in a sense. Okay? This is about the meaning of your life and your life purpose. But it is going to be in the communication that the big picture is going to come up, right? The communication you have towards yourself, the communication you have with other people, and that big picture sort of is going to get worked in that first quarter moon by you understanding your very own feelings, even more so, coming closer to them and knowing where you need to now apply self-discipline. King of Cups. But in the emotional realm, that King of Cups has to do with a relationship here and others that you're committed to, almost like a business. I feel like some of you are going to make like a new business contract here as well. Or if there's, I see some kind of a contract here. It's a welcomed contract. It's something good. It is to get things off the ground. It's either a project, or some of you might be getting married, or some of you are going to be redefining some kind of business deal or signing some kind of business deal. Examine your priorities during that time. Examine what exactly are going to be the expectations here. The Nine of Diamonds. The King of Cups says you're able to see things exactly how you need to see them from the Gemini filter. What's the Gemini filter here? Well, it is going to be in the communication. What's being communicated and what's the bigger picture about that? What are some of the things that you need to see? So be strong in your purpose is what the message here is. Because the skills that you have and the stuff that you have to offer, you know, you must bring that to the conversation. That is going to be really, really important here. The Seven of Swords reversed, that is you just understanding that there is going to be a time not to focus on new relationships with anybody. But there's one in particular, you know, this person comes in very playful. This person is very playful. They have sort of this like turmoil to them though underneath it, and you can feel it. Okay, try to navigate this through practicing equanimity. King of Cups. Whatever makes you feel more balanced, take a step back, look at the situation. What do you need to learn here? What feels similar? What doesn't feel right? Something about it doesn't feel right. Something about it doesn't, I just get this feeling like there's turmoil. If you were to give agreement to this person, they're trying to get you to do something. Okay, that's what I feel like that this is about. They're trying to get you to do something. They want you to, I'm not sure what their intention is, honestly, because I feel that this person doesn't even know. Stick to the bigger picture. What are you doing now that is serving the bigger picture? What are you doing now that is going to serve more liberation in your life? What is it that you're doing now that is going to clear your mind of burdens? What is it that you're wanting to get rid of? And it has a lot to do with your career. It has a lot to do with you moving forward. And so you're going to draw the line. So whatever the self-discipline portion is for you, that is going to be the key to keep working towards, the bigger things through the smaller tasks. So like discipline here, the word discipline keeps coming up. And I also want to say that when you walk away and you do your own thing, you start to move things forward in the way that you want to, okay? Now, what can you expect from this phase? There's 3 cards that fell out, and we're going to just lay these cards on top of here. So I'm going to turn these around so we can just really focus on the cards that just fell out here, okay? So it is going to be a time that is going to be very important towards the end of this phase. And we see the 10 of Wands reversed. We also see the 4 of Cups upright. We see the Page of Swords. I feel like towards the end, there's going to be a very important portion, 3 to 4 days. You are going to have this opportunity to sort of break through a past situation where you used to walk away from certain commitments, or it has to do sort of with a relationship in the past. You used to do a lot for this relationship. Something like this is going to be coming up, okay? It's really important to speak up. Something about speaking up is going to be very important. That 10 of Wands reversed has to do with the people that you are a part of. It could be a small group of people that you're working with. I do see that there is a particular relationship here that is going to maybe be, again, in this place where that relationship dynamic, you're in this place where, you're wanting to maybe do something that you are comfortable with from the past, but you realize that that is not what you are to do. There is a choice that you're going to make, and that choice is going to put you into a lot more harmony, even though you may not like that it's going to be in a time where you will have to just change your beliefs about, your commitments and relationships. There's something like this ties into it. Now, I feel that you're going to make a wise choice towards the end of this cycle. Again, this is going to be, I feel, as soon as Venus enters Leo, so at the very end of this cycle, okay? The 4 of Cups basically says this will have to do with you learning how to begin again when it comes to your relationships and what it is that you're really wanting out of that. Like, there is a moment here where the cards are suggesting that it's better for you to focus on doing something new, committing into a new area, choosing something new versus, falling back onto the old things that you used to just feel comfortable making decisions. So there is a risk taking involved for you to speak up and make yourself be heard. And when you do, you start to learn a lot more about what it is that you used to not do when it came to opportunities that you felt like you needed to be a part of. So it is going to be a very, very good thing. It's going to bring you clarity. So again, what am I seeing here? Follow your own value. Follow your own value system. Follow the things that keep you more clear towards new things, okay? Then when you do, what happens is it becomes a lot more clear. 4 of Cups, Jack of Spades. You become a lot more clear. You are able to kind of have more wisdom. And that wisdom carries you forward to connect to new experiences, but most importantly, to having conversations that promise to actually lead somewhere that will be a lot better in the future. Now, that's one thing. The other thing that I'm seeing is that a lot of you will have important conversations when it comes to the future with your children, if you have children, or you will have important conversations with a partner, okay? And you're going to be moving forward. You're going to create something new, but it's just a planning phase now. And it's really going to be a good one. So whatever the old plan was, you are going to be choosing different in a different area here. Okay, that's what I'm seeing. Now, another thing that I do want to do is I want to pull spiritual cards for all three, because I feel like that decision-making time is going to be a very important one to navigate. We have the dog coming up again. We have the bull coming up again. I feel like we pulled the bull before. So stick to the things that you know you have loyalty towards. The dog has to do with loyalty. The bull has to do with keeping steady, moving forward. Right now, that is the best thing to do. Keep steady, move forward. And this decision that you're making, when the nodes switch right towards the end of the year, beginning of 2022, you're going to be very, very happy that you chose differently. Up until then, you might still go back and forth a little bit. And what you're doing right now is you are building something, or you're walking through these pillars, or these, the pillars or the gateway here that will be the best thing that you could have done for yourself. Again, you're just learning something new. So it comes a little bit with nervousness, but I really do think that you're going to be incredibly clear, and you're going to know that the decision that you have made is one that is going to add to feeling a lot more liberated than you have been in a while. The first one is focus. Focus, okay, on all of the things that keep you strong, that keep you moving forward, that allow for you to know that on this path that you're in right now, you can have faith in these areas. You will be very aware of those things, okay? Diligence, wow. This diligence has to do a lot with you staying balanced while there is a lot of turmoil going on. Everyone's mind is going to be a little bit twisted this month. So I feel that when you do, you start to get very clear. You're growing in a new area of your life that has a lot to do with your skills. It has a lot to do with relationships and how you communicate within relationships. It has a lot to do with your commitments and what you used to believe about important partnerships. And it also has a lot to do with what you actually communicate of the things that are very important to you. That's what I'm seeing here for you, Sagittarius. Thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate your time. You could have watched any other video. You stuck here to this video. If you've liked this, give it a thumbs up. And also subscribe to my channel. And if you want to work with me a little bit closer, all of my info is in the description box below this video. I love you guys. I'm sending you blessings, and I will see you soon. Bye.